Okay, to move ahead further, we have the next duo where we have Professor Dr. Vaibbhavi Pruthviraj, if I am speaking it right, ma'am.
Pruthviraj.
Pruthviraj, okay. So, ma'am is a Dean, Department of Fashion Design at Chitkara University. She's a design educator, a researcher and designer, author as well, with 23 plus years of experience with wide international and industry exposure. She has been founding the HOD of premier design schools in India like Symbiosis, MIT Institute of Design Pune, Pearl Academy Mumbai, ADYPO, and currently at Chitkara. She has a diverse research experience in the area of semiotics of fashion, Indian fashion system, slow fashion side of sustainable fashion, varied applied research for various design projects. And she's also creative director of slow fashion label Vaibbhavi. This label is about providing sustainable livelihoods to Indian craftsperson and promoting Indian textiles worldwide. So we have her on the hot seat with us today. And on the cool seat is none other than your facilitator for tonight, Avinash Kaur, who is a learning and development specialist and a content creator as well on LinkedIn. So let's see how we dig into from runways to classrooms. So ma'am, from your journey, just let us know how did it actually begin, from fashion, then getting into, academics, and then now having a label of your own. How has it been like? How did you get your interest in fashion?
Thank you for that kind introduction and a very good evening to all of you. And I would like to thank you for inviting me here today. This is my first opportunity to interact with the community here in Chandigarh, and I'd be happy to share a bit about my journey. I've been an avid learner all my life, and fashion is something that I saw as an expression for myself, and was a reluctant educator initially. That's a humble submission, because design is such a fascinating profession, and as a young person you'd like to apply all your learning in the industry and see it grow. So fashion, as I started in the 90s, some makes me sound very old, but it's nothing like how it is today. All the glitz and glamour came in much later, all the slogging, all the hard work, how the entire gamut of fashion came about. I've been there as a part of the industry. Not to make it very long, we have a very short time, but sealing barriers, I think each one here in the room has done that. But my first organization that I worked, the founders thought that I was some associate's daughter. And I had to clarify, no, that I work with you, and that's where it all started. And then getting into academics, I think my father is an archaeologist and a professor at the Maharaja Sayajirao University. So he, as a passing comment, said that you'd make a good educator, and I said, no, that's not happening, I'm not doing that. And he said, maybe give it a try. So I did that, and I think for anyone who's been in that position, and most of you all who are leaders in every right, you've mentored people. I think when you nurture the talent, that's something that's very infectious, and that's a role reversal that keeps happening. I think that's the way I would like to address my journey as an educator, is that there's a lot of teaching and learning that's continuous and that enriches your learning as well.
Absolutely, ma'am. Well, that's a great intent. And also, I would want you to let us know about your inclination with sari. I know you've also published a book. So how is it that you think, feel, and carry out one of the most prestigious outfits into our Indian system, sari?
Thank you. Yeah, so what happened is that fashion as a term seems to be a very Western concept, right? But my contention always was that we have such a huge legacy of aesthetics and culture in India, and why should it be looked at or looked down upon or in a secondary manner, right? So that's when I started looking and researching about the whole idea of decolonization and understanding that in terms of my domain, that is fashion, and understanding fashion systems in India and sharing those ideas with the community at large. So that's where it all started, and the sari, as we know that, so the first thing, reaction, and good that you brought that, is that I think a lot of women in the 70s wore saris. Then again, in the name of so-called fashion and being termed as old-fashioned per se, women started adapting different silhouettes in their wardrobe, right? And so at the turn of the 20th century, when I thought, what is it that really interests me to dig deeper into how the India story is going to be written. So I started looking at ways people were engaging in sari, and an initial, as a researcher, you need to be very, very unbiased. But maybe there was a thing that, if we don't talk about it, somebody is going to come and write something about it and just write it off like a museum relic or something. And fortunately so, that all the research and all the interactions and the amazing stories that I've come across with women, and not only women. So I started my research with women, and then a lot of men came along and said, why not us? We'd like to share our stories and how do we engage or look at the sari, and not only people from middle class or upper middle class backgrounds, but even how women on the streets were looking at it, or in the rural tier 3 cities as well. So it just brings everyone together in the idea of India, and whether we are in India or at a world forum. So I'll share an instance. I was at the Milan Fashion Week, and wherever I travel, I do always carry a sari, and there were so many other amazing looking women there, but the paps were very intrigued with my sari. I know it was not me, it was the sari, right? So that's the kind of curiosity it generates, and there is so much that we can do with it. Any one of you traveling to London, there is a beautiful exhibit that's happening, the Friday Sari project at the London Design Museum. A friend is curating that, and coincidentally my book, Indian Sari, Sartoria and Semiology, is published by Routledge Publishers in UK. No, not an Indian publisher. Somebody out there thought that this is something, an idea worth sharing with a larger academy.
That's humongous. Many congratulations to you, ma'am, on that. So, ma'am, like we know that fashion today is so fast. Yeah, I believe Zara just takes 21 days to put forward their new collection altogether. So while I was knowing about you, you also mentioned about slow fashion and how sustainability can be there, and you've built a community also, and like your own label. So what's your thought on that? Like, what is it? How can we differentiate between sustainable fashion and etc.?
Sure. So I think that's a nice question and a long one. So I'll just try and break that into parts, right? So have you heard of this concept of fast fashion, slow fashion? Raise of hands, please. Fast fashion.
So there's just one person in our audience.
So I'll just try and break that and keep it brief. We are aware of the adverse impact that fast food has on our bodies, right? And the ecology. Likewise, if you consume slow cooked homemade food, or food prepared with a lot of love, right from the farms to what reaches your table and how we consume it, is impacting the ecology, right? We're all trying to get back to what your grandparents adopting to lead a healthy family and maybe impact the ecology in a better manner. Likewise, when we talk about fast fashion, what's happening is people are consuming at a much faster pace than you can ever make clothes and dumping it even faster. What happens to that is that eventually it's going as a landfill and it's becoming like a so-called way of arriving in life, that every time you reach out your app, you're buying clothes. And what's happening to those clothes? You're not even mindful of what's coming into your cart. Every day there are Amazon or Flipkart parcels coming in. You don't like it, you throw it away or you return it. Those clothes never go back or being worn by somebody. They're always in some warehouse. So there's a huge cost. And another thing, it's a very long topic and I can take hours. But your t-shirt can't be, your t-shirt can't be cheaper than your coffee. It can't be. Because there are so many million hands involved in it. Right from farming the cotton, from making that cotton fiber into the yarn, into a t-shirt, somebody sewing it, packing, shipping, and then you just like throwing it away. There's so much water, so many resources going on. So that's something. So next time we're going shopping something, we look at it a little more mindfully, how it's going to suit our lifestyle and use it longer. And I think more so for the younger generation, I think people here are of fine taste and have acquired that over the years and believe in good quality, but quality over quantity is something that we're going to look at. And for the label, so why slow fashion? So, I started my business much later after working in academics for a longer time and working with artisans across the country as a researcher, as an educator, and they kept on saying that, ma'am, you're doing so much for us as a community, why don't you see that we take it to the next level? And a lot of students I've mentored over the years who've gone and worked with these people. So when I thought that with the online thing movement, that's one way I could continue with a business and my academics alongside. I couldn't possibly divide my time between a full-time academic profile and being at a store or a factory level. So that's when I started, and in that sense that we are able to work with our weavers, handloom weavers across the country without displacing them from their villages. So they get work while sitting at home, and the production happens in our studio, and then we're shipping it using the social media and the website platforms to reach out to consumers and telling mindful stories about the way we go about making the clothes and making sure that the right people get paid the right amount at the right time, and the person who's buying it also knows the story that goes behind it and how it's impacting the earth and the ecology.
Okay, well, that's really thought-provoking. So, ma'am, you just recently shared that you've been new to this space and Chandigarh. So, and I'm very sure that people in Punjab and North are very fashionable. So, what do you have to say? Like, do you see a difference? Like, you've also traveled the world. That, how do people connect with fashion? How do you say that, people take forward fashion very seriously? And what's your take on that? Do you see a difference, or everywhere it's just the same, or do you think it's a symbol of identification for people?
So I think fashion is a medium of self-expression, and there's no right or wrong thing, or you should not be doing should about it. It's individual take on it. What I see here is that people are very lively and fashion flourishes when people are happy, and that's what I see here, and that's something. So that's very important. If you're sad, you don't want to dress up very well, and then that's not nice, right? It's not doing good to the people who are making the clothes as well. So you need to celebrate life, being at your best, and I think dressing also makes a lot of difference. The day you feel a little dull, you turn out a little well, you feel nice about
Absolutely.
yourself, and that has a it's like second skin, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and that's also one of my secrets to boost up my confidence the day I'm low. Okay, do we have any questions from the audience they would want to ask, ma'am? Okay. Well, thank you so much, ma'am. It was really thought-provoking, and I wish you all the best for your label.
Thank you. I'm not, okay, so thank you. I just have one parting line to share is that I'm here because of Chitkara University, and those of you who have not visited us at the campus, you must. The way we approach fashion there is something you'd like to know more about and share with your community. I think that will be really nice. Yeah? Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.